Hello, welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to be going through the solutions for our test. So let's start a new part file. And let's change our units to millimeter. So we will come here, document properties, units, going to change it to millimeter and click OK. So the next thing, we can pick any plane. So I'll pick the front plane, draw my sketch. Let me move back over there. So I'm going to move this over here. So the first thing I'll do is draw my construction line. The first is a midpoint line, so I'll draw something like this. And escape, and I'll draw another line. Going up, something like that. And I will make both lines a construction line. So I'll select this line and also make that a construction line. So once I have my construction line, I can add my dimensions to it. Just 76. And change that 76. And this line to that point is 62. And once I have my construction line, the next thing I can do is draw my circle. So I'll draw a circle over here, circle over there. And a circle over here. So the next thing I'm going to do is make those three circles equal to each other. So I'll select both circles, all three circles, holding down the control key and select my equal relation. So once I have the equal relation, the radius is 9. If you want to do it, you can add the diameter, which is 18. We can do it that way, or you can wait till you trim it off. So we can draw 3 lines, something like that, something like this, and something like that. So now we can add our line relation to our line and our circle, add a tangent relation. So something like that. I'll leave that for now. Select my line and my circle, add a tangent relation. I'll do the same thing for all 3 circles. So, and I will select this. And I'm just showing you the basics of how to create it. If you create this in a different way, it's fine as well. So once I have this, I can use my extend to extend, make sure my lines is touching my circle. So that one is good. So once I have my extend, I can now use my trim. I'll use trim to closest. I trim the excess out. So I'm going to trim all those excess. And over there, I still have a line sticking out over here. So I'll trim that out. Make sure you zoom in to make sure everything is trimmed. And once I'm done with that, everything looks clean. The next thing I need to do is add my radius. So I add my radius over here. And my radius is 9. And there you go. We have a fully defined sketch. That's the first one. So let's start a new part file to create the second one. So I'll start a new part file. And I'm going to switch this. For the second one, we'll change our units to millimeter. So go to units and click OK. And let's draw this on the top plane. So I'm going to move my plane over here so you can see it. What I can do is draw a line. Again, I can draw my construction line. So the first one is a midpoint line. Right? And the second one is also a midpoint line. So draw another midpoint line going up. And change both lines to a construction line. So you can select both lines and change it to a construction line. We can add our dimension, which is 96. And we can add the circle from the center point out. and make that circle and this point, select both and make them coincident. So we can drop it a little bit. Then we can add another circle on this end. And you can drop it a little bit. So now we can draw a line, something like that, and something like this. And make that line tangent to this circle. And also make that line tangent to this circle. So let me zoom back. So I'm going to move my line up a little bit because it's making my circle smaller because I don't have the dimension on it yet. So put the line somewhere over here and I'm going to add that line and this circle. Now the tangent, something like that is good. Do the same thing here. Not a horizontal. I'm going to Control Z. Select that line and the circle, tangent. Select that line and the circle and tangent. So we have the basics, so we can trim all the excess. Can do the same thing up here. Trim away all the excess. And we can actually do the same thing here too. Trim this out. So we have half of it. So what we can do now is add our radius, add our dimension here, it's 32. And the radius for this is 17. We have a fully defined sketch. We can add this second circle in here and add our dimension, which is 18. And now all we need to do is mirror this over. So let me move it over here so you can see. So we select mirror entities, line entities to mirror. We'll select all this, lines, circle, make sure you select everything. Mirror about, we'll select this line and click OK. And I have something broken there. All I have to do is just make it coincident. And that is how you create the sketch. And we have a fully defined sketch. And for the next one, so we'll start a new part file. And on the front plane, let's draw a sketch. So once we are in our sketch mode, let's draw 3 circles. Something like that. So the next thing we can do is we can either add the radius. So this is actually diameter. So if you notice, that's a diameter. So we can just add our diameter to our circle. And this circle is 2. And the next circle, so I'm going to add my dimension, which is the diameter. The next circle is 1.5. And the next circle diameter is 0.8. So once we have that, we can select this line, this circle, make it a construction. Then the next thing we can do now is add the slot 2 over here. So we'll select this straight slot. So I'm going to select it. So I'll hover over this till I get the quadrant. Click on that purple quadrant, drag it up and drag it out, something like that. So once you have that, we can add our radius, our dimension to this, the radius, which is 1.3. And what we can do now is trim this top part off. So we'll click the trim tool, trim this off, trim, and trim. So this extra point, I'm just going to delete that. And all this is saying is that, so what I can do is I can use the add the tangent, so this line and that, and let me escape, select that line and the circle, and I'll just add the tangent. I can do the same thing over here, add the tangent. So let's see what's broken. This line is missing a relation, so we'll select that line, add a vertical relation. This is probably the same, add a vertical relation. So we have a sketch that is fully defined. So what we can do now is continue trimming, so we can trim this part out. So we actually don't need those parts. We can trim all that out. So until we get something like this, then what we will do next is do a pattern. So click on circular sketch pattern. The perimeter in here is the point, and entities to pattern is this, and number is 4. So we'll type in, we already have 4 in there. And now once everything looks good in our preview, click OK. And again, the only thing that is broken is this, so we can just drag that out. We can drag any of this to see it, and now everything is fully defined. So if yours is not, drag it a little bit to see what is broken and just add that relation to it. So now what we can do is just trim off this part, that part, and this part. This sketch is a little bit challenging, but I hope you figure it out. If you were able to figure out this sketch, then you are actually learning a lot and you're doing very well. But even if you didn't figure it out, just all you have to do is keep trying and it will come. So, and the next one is this. So let's add a new part file. And I'm going to sketch on any plane. So I'm just going to move this over here, number 2. And this, I'm going to use the line tool. So I'm just going to draw the shape. Something like that. So I have my shape and move it over. And I'm going to add my relation here to make it vertical, and start adding my dimension. So make sure you have all your relations first. So I have all my relation. So this line is perpendicular, that line is perpendicular to that line. So we can start adding our dimension. From this point to that point is 2.5. And this line is 1. This line is 1.5. And the angle between both is 125, I'm sorry. And the only thing missing is here. So we are still missing one thing. So let's see. And we're missing that diameter. I mean, not the diameter, that angle. The dimension, I don't know why I keep stuttering. So the dimension is 1. So we're at 1. And we are done with the sketch. So that is the solution. Thank you. And in the next lecture, we are going to be moving on to how to turn our sketch into solid. So we'll be learning how to create an extrude and revolve and so on. Thank you, and I will see you in the next lecture. Bye.